Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Ezeara Ronyeka. I'm a registered community health practitioner and also a primary care tutor. Today, we'll be looking at an interesting part, that is how to write your objectives in a research paper. So I urge you to be attentive and follow it because this is the major part in your research work. Because if you don't have the objective very well, or written well, you may end up not actually getting the right findings, and that findings may not give you the basis to help in solving the problem that prompt you into going into the research. Okay, so now let's look at this objective. It says that this section outlines the specific research objectives. Let me just explain this. In a particular research work, you have aim. Some school of thought call it aim. Some call it the general objectives. So the general objective is what the research work intends to achieve. But also in that general objective, there is what is known as specific objectives. These specific objectives, let me explain this way, that these are various ways to achieve the main objective. The main objective is the main cocoa. That is the main thing to be achieved. But now the different approaches you followed to achieve that main thing or main objective is known as the specific objectives. Okay, so they are the ways you are follow. The specific objectives are the ways you follow in order to arrive at the objectives. Okay, is that this section outlines the specific research objectives or aims of the study, sorry, this needs to be removed, please. So let's take it again. This section outlines the specific research objectives or aims of the study. Research objectives are specific statements that describes what the study aims to achieve. Therefore, developing clear and concise research objectives is essential for guiding the research process. Yes, if you don't have a good research objective, it will not reflect the statement of the problem and to the background. And also, it will not also help you in taking the right research approach or research methodology. Your design will be affected. And if this is affected, the result will be affected. Okay? So, you developing a clear and concise research objective is essential for guiding the research. The study is relevant. The following are some criteria for developing research objectives. 1, specific. Research objectives should be specific and clearly defined. They should state exactly what the study aims to achieve and what would be measured. Next, measurable. Research objectives should be measurable, meaning that they should be quantifiable and able to be observed or assessed. This allows for collection of data that can be analyzed and used to draw conclusions. Achievable. Research objectives should be achievable, meaning that they should be realistic and feasible given the available resources and time frame. Relevant. Research objectives should be relevant to the research question and the broader research context. They should address a gap in knowledge or contribute to the existing body of knowledge in the field. Time-bound. Research objectives should be time-bound, meaning that they should have a specific time frame for completion. This helps to ensure that the study stays on track and that the research objectives are achieved within the planned time frame. Another characteristic is align with research questions. Research objectives should align with research questions. They should be designed to answer the research questions and provide insight into the research problem. That is, what it's trying to say, every research objective, there is a related research question. Let's say to determine the level of knowledge of women toward ANC, the research question would be, what is the level of knowledge of these pregnant women towards ANC, you see. Then the next is clear and concise. Research objectives should be clear, concise, use simple language that is easy to understand. This helps to ensure that the objectives are communicated effectively to stakeholders and that everyone involved in the study is on the same page. To further illustrate the criteria for developing research objectives, let's consider an example. Let us use this research topic: prevalence of diarrhea among children attending Holy Angels Nursery and Primary School in Nkpor, Anambra State. Okay, now, what is the objective? The first objective. The first objective says, for this topic, for this research topic, prevalence of diarrhea among children attending Holy Angels Nursery and Primary School in Nkpor, Anambra State. The first research objective is to determine the prevalence of diarrhea among children aged 3 to 10 years attending Holy Angels Nursery and Primary School. Okay, you might, for this, they decided to limit it within this age range. You can also make it broad for depending on what you are doing, okay? So now, this is the major objective of this research. One, the research objective to determine the prevalence of diarrhea among children aged 3 to 10 years attending Holy Angels Nursery and Primary School in Nkpor, Anambra State. Now, this objective has been stated. Now, let us see if it meets up with the criteria of a well-stated objective. And don't forget the acronym we use, SMART. Okay, now let's check if this objective is SMART. One, specific. This objective focuses on determining the prevalence of diarrhea among a specific age group of children attending a particular school in a specific location. So this makes it what? Specific. This research objective said to determine the prevalence of diarrhea among children aged 3 to 10 years attending Holy Angels. You didn't say attending Holy Cross Nursery and Primary School. You didn't say Angels of Queens Nursery and Primary School, but specifically for Holy Angels Nursery and Primary School in Nkpor, location only in Nkpor, in Anambra State, not in every part of Anambra State. So this makes it what? Specific. Now let's see if it's measurable. The prevalence of diarrhea can be measured by conducting survey or collecting data on the number of children who have experienced diarrhea within a defined period. So that makes it measurable. That means we can collect data. That makes it measurable because we can collect the data of how many children passed out a water school today, more than 3 times. That will be added in the prevalence existing. You see. So this makes this particular objective what? Measurable. And therefore, we can measure it using available statistics and measurement tools. Then, achievable. That objective, this objective is achievable by conducting a survey or collecting data from the target population. You see, it's something that we can do to determine the prevalence. How will you determine the prevalence? How many children, you come to that school, how many children passed out diarrhea stool today? 3 times water stool. That's diarrhea. So which makes it measurable. So we can collect the number of children. Then as well, we can also, it's achievable because we can go there and collect the data. We can collect the data. So that makes it what? Achievable. So by collecting that data, we can identify or determine the prevalence of diarrhea in that school. So it's what? Achievable. Then, is it relevant? The objective is relevant to the research topic as it directly addressed prevalence of diarrhea among children attending that specific school. So it is relevant. That this particular objective is relevant because it's still pointing to the research topic, which is the aim of the research work. Do not forget I said specific objectives are roadways or walkways towards achieving the main objective. So it is what? Relevant, because it's still talking about the same what? Prevalence. Is it time bound? The objective can be achieved within a specific time frame, such as few months on or a school term. Yes, you can work in a school for just 2 months to collect the data, or even 3 months. Now, does it align with research question? This objective aligns with the research question of determining the prevalence of diarrhea among children, because with this objective, we can easily say, what is you now ask the question, which the data will not answer. What is the prevalence? Now you go and collect the prevalence, the data, total number of children who have stood within that time frame, and answer the question. So therefore, it aligns with the research question. Is it clear and concise? The objective is clear and concise because it focuses on determining the prevalence of diarrhea among a specific group of children in a specific population. So that that research objective 1 is SMART. Then let's also look at the objective 2. Associated with diarrhea among children attending in Anambra State. Is this objective specific? Yes, this objective is specific. It aims to identify risk factors that contribute to occurrence of diarrhea among children attending this specified school. So therefore, it is specific. Is it measurable? Of course. We can identify the risk factor that may have contributed to it, such as maybe poor hand washing, point source, or a particular food that is being prepared in that place that caused it. So we can identify it and we can measure it. And if we can measure it, that means we can analyze it. And how can we measure it? We can do that by conducting interviews, by asking questions to food vendors, how they're preparing the meal. We can carry out a surveys, okay? We can also look at the existing data to determine the factors associated with the diarrhea. So therefore, it is measurable. Is it achievable? This objective is achievable by collecting data on the children's dietary habits, hygiene practices, and other relevant factors, and analyzing the data. We can identify the risk, like I explained above. So it is achievable. We can do all these things through survey, which makes it measurable. Then, since we're able to do it, now it is achievable. Is this relevant? The objective is relevant because it focuses on understanding the factors that contribute to the prevalence of diarrhea among the target population. Is it time bound? Yes, we can do it within a time frame. Does it align with research question? Yes. We can ask, what is the risk factors that contribute to the prevalence of diarrhea among these school children? So it aligns with research question. Is it clear and concise? Yes. In that objective, it is clear. There's no ambiguity in it. Then the next objective says, to assess the knowledge and awareness of parents and guidance regarding diarrhea prevention and management among children attending Holy Angel Nursery and Primary School. So, attending Holy Nursery and Angel Nursery and Primary School basis makes it specific. Then, to assess knowledge makes it measurable. We can carry out the knowledge level of this. We can measure it through surveys and interviews. So that makes it measurable. It's achievable since we can measure it. Then we can come up with something. It's relevant. It's also time bound and also aligns with research questions. It is clear and concise. The last objective says to recommend evidence-based interventions for the prevention and management of diarrhea among children attending Holy Angel Nursery and Primary School in Pop. So if you looking at it here, it is specific to Nursery and Primary School, Holy Angel Nursery and Primary School. It's specific. To recommend evidence-based interventions, it is what's measurable. The effectiveness of intervention can be measured by evaluating the impact on reducing the prevalence of diarrhea among children attending that specified. So it's measurable. It is achievable because the objective is achievable because we can review existing literature and guidelines and therefore find best practices and recommend for the prevention of this diarrhea in that. So it is achievable. It's not something that at the end we can't achieve it. It's achievable. It's relevant to the research question, okay? As it focuses on providing practical recommendations to addressing the prevalence of diarrhea among children attending the specified school. Time-bound, align with research questions, it aligns with the research questions. It is clear and concise. So with this, We've been able to look at how to write a good research objective, which should be what? Smart. The research objective is the leading way to attaining the general objective or the aim of the study. It is the research objective that informs the development of research questions. And it is the questionnaire that answers the research question by providing data. And it is the data that is provided that we measure for us to draw conclusion. And it is the research objective that inform the research design. We are going to look at the research design in the subsequent lectures, so that you will understand how this connects with each other like a cycle. So in a nutshell, we've been able to tell you that for you to write a very good objective, one, it must be specific. That means for each objective you are writing, write it to the end to determine the level of knowledge of pregnant women towards long-lasting insecticide-treated among women of childbearing age in Umuna Olu, Imo State, Nigeria, so that it's specific. Then you look at the measurable. Can that objective be measured? Can it be measured through interview? Can it be measured through surveys? Can it be measured through questionnaire? Like, can questions be answered? Can it still be measured through use of instruments, performance? That makes it measurable. Then if it's able to be measured, that means we can achieve something. Then you look at time bound. That thing you are writing, can we actually measure the knowledge of women towards long-lasting insecticide? Yes, we can measure it. Yes, it did not take a longer time. We can actually go on routine visits during ANC sections or immunization and try to measure this data. So it's achievable. Okay, it's achievable and it is relevant. So when you are writing your research of this, make sure it's smart. Make sure it's smart. Make sure it is what? Smart. Having in mind, it should be specific in the particular people and location, that what you are looking at can be measured through questionnaires, surveys, mostly in public health, use questionnaires, through formats and all of that. That this can be measured using these tools. Then that once it can be measured, that means it can be analyzed and something can be achieved through it can be achieved, which will inform our conclusion. So it's achievable. Then it must be relevant to the major aim or major problem, because the title is the problem you are trying to look at. Okay, so it must be relevant to it. Then it should be time bound and it must align with research questions. And it should be clear and concise. It shouldn't be ambiguous. Thank you and have a wonderful time. See you again in our next lectures.